How's it going, everyone? I'm Alex. I'm a full-time six-figure Amazon seller. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the checklist items that I use to make sure that I'm making a smart decision when buying profitable inventory for my Amazon business. There's some tools that give you a ton of data like SellerAmp and Keepa, but how do you break down that data to understand whether or not you're making a smart buying decision, whether or not the product you're buying is going to sell quickly, and whether or not the price will kind of stay where you want it to be or sell in the range that you need it to be profitable in the near future. If that sounds like something that'll be helpful to you, subscribe to the channel and let's jump right into the checklist. It's sort of a checklist that I'm going to go through here that will kind of help me identify certain things that will tell me whether this product's worth purchasing or not, right? Let's say you're reverse sourcing or manual sourcing and you found this product, at this price, right? $9.65. It's selling for $21.90. One of the first things we want to look at before we go too deep, and this list is not really in a specific order, just kind of the order that came to me on things that I check on. Is Amazon on the listing? And we can check that with the Keepa chart. It'll tell you if Amazon has the buy box or if they're on the listing on the SellerAmp tab. As you can see on the Keepa chart, Amazon is not currently on the listing. They were on it for about a week during Christmas. So what we can do is go back to the year point and see if they were on it at all in the past. Looks like they had another month or 2, 3 months that they were on it. But you can see there's pretty long spurts of them not being on it. They haven't been on it, since January started basically. So we can maybe assume that they're only in stock really not super often. And other people are still getting the buy box, so maybe they didn't have a ton in stock to start with. So we can assume that Amazon shouldn't interfere with this specific listing. One of the more important things we want to look at is the BSR, which is the sales rank. SellerAmp also tells you the estimated sales on this listing. Can be semi-accurate for single item listings, but when you look at variation listings, a lot of times you don't really know what that number is. That number referring to the entire listing or just that specific variation. So what you can do is go to Jungle Scout, and they actually have a sales estimator for a specific rank, right? So if we're looking at the beauty category, that 20,000 rank that we saw with that Neutrogena product says you're going to sell around 870 times per month. That's not super accurate, right? Nothing knows exactly how many times people are selling per month. But if we're anywhere from 800 to 1,000 times on this listing, that's a pretty good estimate. Maybe it's even low, right? This listing could sell, 1,200 times a month, but it's just kind of a ballpark to get you in the idea of how many you might want to purchase and try to get the buy box to sell those items. So in correlation to that, we want to understand how many people are on the listing. SellerAmp also has that feature. You can scroll down and we see 16 people on the listing. 13 of them are FBA, 3 of them FBM. And what we want to kind of pay attention to is how many people are priced competitively, right? If the buy box is currently $21.90, how many people are in that range where they're expected to potentially get the buy box at their price, right? So we have someone priced pretty low, they might get the buy box every once in a while. Another couple people in that $19 to $21 range, and then you see someone at $24, $25, $25, $25 in that range. Those sellers are probably not going to sniff the buy box really all that often unless these guys sell out. And these guys aren't even close to the buy box. So we can, assume, 5 or 6 sellers are competitively priced. So that kind of transitions to how many can we expect of this item to sell per month if we were to get on the listing. It sells, let's just say 1,000 times per month, and there's 5 competitively priced sellers. If we were competitively priced as well, we would be a 6th seller. So basically you can divide 1,000 by 6, and then you're going to estimate that you can sell around 150 to 170 of this item per month. That's just a ballpark estimate. Could be more, could be less. But that might help your purchasing decisions on how many of these you really want to buy, so you're not running out of stock or so you don't have too many in stock. Now we want to look at the profit and ROI, right? It's not just enough to look and see, yep, it hits our profit and ROI, criteria, good to go, let's forget about it. We want to understand, the buy box is going to move around. So we want to know, are we going to still be profitable if the buy box were to go down? What happens if the buy box goes up? So this $3 profit and 31% ROI, right? My criteria here is $3, 30%, hits both of them. But the 303, really not a ton of margin to work with if this price were to go down. We can look at a similar product where, we're close to the max cost where we want to be. Our ROI is 34%, but we're making $12.50 on this product. So if for some reason this listing drops, $5 to $10 to $15, say even to $55, see, we're still not losing money. But on this other listing, this could go down to $19, only a $1 or $2 drop, and we're already almost break even. The other one had $10 to drop, and we're still at that same break even price. So you just want to understand, how much margin do you have to work with, and is that going to affect, profitability? So piggybacking off of that, we want to now look at the Keepa chart to understand what the buy box could potentially be if we're on the listing in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and other sellers are pricing. So let's go look at the sales history of Keepa. So the price history is a little bit all over the place. If we want to focus specifically on the last couple weeks, we can see that the price does go all the way up to around $22.50, but we do see lows of $16.50, $17, somewhere in that range. On average, we can kind of see that price right around $20, maybe $21, depending. If we zoom out pre-Christmas, there's not a whole lot of action. I think people must have been selling and they didn't need to price low or high to try to get that buy box to trigger for them. But after Christmas, the sales rank went up a little bit, which isn't a huge deal. But we can see the price is bouncing around quite a bit. If we can assume, let's say $18 is the lowest we could see in the next couple of weeks based on this last few weeks history, and maybe $22.50 is the highest we want to go, let's plug that into our chart and see if we're still profitable. Okay, we said $18. And you can see we're going to lose 29 cents. Not the worst, right? It's better than losing $2 or $3 and you have 50 in stock. But if you have 100 in stock, you're going to lose $29. It's not the end of the world. You're getting your capital back and you're able to reinvest that in more profitable product. But this is something that you really want to understand. Let's say the price is just inflated as of recent, and we're looking at, $23. Wow, we're going to make $4, 41% ROI. Well, is 23 realistic if you were to get on this listing in 2 to 3 weeks, right? It takes time to send a shipment in, order the product first, send a shipment in, have Amazon check it in. That all takes time. And if more sellers are on the listing and the price does go back down to that $18 range, are we going to lose a bunch of money, or are we still going to be fine to sell this product, not lose a ton and get that money back to reinvest? Sticking with the Keepa chart, next thing we want to look at is the price history. Is it fairly consistent, right? There's a couple different charts out there that you're going to see where, for a while, even in the past on this chart, we saw for a while this product was only selling for $11.49. Amazon did get off the listing and we are able to sell this, upwards of $18, $19. But for the most part, we don't see more than a $5 to $6 swing on this product. You're gonna see products like the shoe that we looked at earlier. Buy box is up in the $80 to $85 range, and now the current buy box is $68. So whether that was an increase in sellers or the product just wasn't priced very competitively to get a lot of sales, we want to understand these things. If the price, if we bought expecting to sell it at this $86 range, knowing that there were some dips that were going to show below $70, were we still going to be profitable if the price did get back down to that $70? Well, you see that it did. But those are just a few things we want to understand before buying a bunch of that product. So all in all, pay attention to the lows, pay attention to the highs, and then pay attention to what you think you'll be able to sell this product for. If we go into the data tab of Keepa, we can look at buy box statistics. This is just a quick check. Who's getting the buy box, right? Are we seeing a lot of FBA sellers getting the buy box in the last 90 days, in the last 30 days? We can see more FBM sellers. That might be due to the Christmas sales. So just understand, what range you're looking at and who's getting the buy box pretty often. What price are they getting the buy box at, right? You can see some of these sellers down here are getting the buy box a decent percentage. 10% is nothing to scoff at. And they're FBA sellers and they're getting the buy box at that $17 range. We know the buy box is a little bit higher right now, but we want to understand this data in case we sell this for a long time. Will the price ever get back to this range, and are we going to be profitable at that price? Okay, so I want to quickly touch on variation listings because there's a couple things differently that you want to look at to make sure that your product that you're purchasing is going to sell often. Because when there's a variation listing, some of the data is pertaining to the entire listing, not your specific variation. So you need to differentiate so you know that your product is going to sell. And this is one of the listings that I might just look at Jungle Scout because a 33,000 rank, maybe it sells 650 times a month, but you might want to double check in case they're referring that 661 to your specific variation, or is that 661 related to the entire listing? So it doesn't hurt to double check that. And then we also want to check the variation tab on Keepa. If you sort by ratings, The ratings are somewhat of a correlation to the number of sales an item is getting. The more reviews or ratings that an item gets, the more people that had to have bought that to review the product, if that makes sense. So if you have a variation that is towards the top of this ratings list, you can expect that it's going to sell more often than, something towards the bottom with no reviews, right? Something that has not gotten one review, it might not have ever sold or only sold once or twice, and that person didn't end up giving a review on that product. So we want to focus on the things that are getting reviews, because we know those things are consistently selling. Another way to estimate how many we want to purchase on a variation listing is looking at this percentage and multiplying that by the estimated sales per month. If we take 10% multiplied by that 660, that means this specific variation could sell around 65, 66 times per month. And you also want to go in and look at the amount of sellers on that specific variation, how many are competitively priced, and if you were to add on to that listing, how many times do you think you could sell per month? I think this method is also an underestimation of how many you could sell per month, so don't let digging into the numbers too much discourage you from making a purchase. But if it's ranked pretty high and there's a good sales rank that sells an often amount of times a month, there's a good chance that you're still going to get sales off of that variation. Now, one bonus tip that I don't check all the time, but it is an extra way, kind of an optional way to understand how many people are specifically selling on a certain variation or just on a listing in general, right? So we want to look at the data column and then the offers tab in Keepa. You can see all the people currently selling on this listing, whether or not they are shipping FBA, how many they have sold in the last 30 days. This is definitely an estimate. You don't want to take this as an exact, right? Because this product says we sell 1,000 times per month. If we went specifically off this number, it says the listing only sold 233 times per month, which is definitely way too low. But Keepa doesn't report all sales data from every single seller, right? Some of them don't display how many they have sold or how many they have in stock, so the numbers aren't exactly accurate. But one thing you can understand is that somebody sold 26 or maybe even more in the last 30 days. So if you bought 26, you might be able to sell all 26 in 1 month. This person sold 135 in a single month. So, and again, that might be low. So if you're thinking about buying 50 of this product, 100 of this product, if you're competitively priced, there's a good chance you could sell out of all of those in a single month. So sometimes it's nice to understand, not the total number, but seeing specific sellers, how often they're able to sell in a specific month or in the last 30 days, right? Are they selling 50 times in a month? Are they selling 5 times in a month? Is that the biggest that anyone has seen? Again, this isn't exact, and you don't want to use this as your only metric to whether or not you want to purchase this or not, but it's just kind of an extra step if you're still a little unsure, knowing how many you're actually going to purchase and be able to sell on this listing. All right, so hopefully this was kind of a nice little high-level checklist that you guys were able to see. I definitely want to create some sort of PDF that's free for my channel viewers, that I can just kind of put this all into writing so you guys can see, something that you can check each time you're looking to purchase a product for your Amazon business. If you guys found this video helpful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.